Y'all, Brian Stelter wrote me back.
Welcome.
You got mail.
If you did not see my video yesterday, I invited Brian Stelter of CNN to come on my channel. I'm going to email Brian Stelter, and I'm going to include a link to the video, and I'm going to invite him on the channel, former TV news reporter to current TV news commentator, to debate his recent segment in which he called for information pollution, that was his exact term, to be reduced in order to reduce harm.
Most people want clean air and blue skies and accurate news and rational views.
So as I typically ask when it comes to any discussion of reducing speech, whether it's right-wing media, which is what he was specifically targeting, Fox and Newsmax and others, or you're talking about online speech being suppressed by community guidelines on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, the question I always ask is who gets to make the decision? Because even though I think people debate, well, that person's more dangerous than that person because their confirmation bias lines up, and you can just play that volleyball game all day long, I think the real question at the heart of it is who's going to do it? Who gets to decide? Because when you really get to the heart of it, then you have to ask, is it going to be Silicon Valley? Is it going to be Comcast? Is it going to be Brian Stelter himself? In which case, are we just going to be left with talking points that are acceptable to the mainstream narrative, which typically is acceptable to people at the top of some kind of power structure, and the dissidents are going to be silenced along with potentially voices that, hey, maybe everybody could agree they're saying harmful, dangerous things, but who gets to decide what's harmful and dangerous and what is politically dissident and just dangerous for folks at the top, not necessarily for the rest of us? Who gets to decide? And will it always protect the establishment? That's the question I wanted Brian to come on and answer. And I wasn't necessarily trying to pick a fight. I was actually kind of trying to give advice.
I can give you advice. I'm great at advice.
My advice and my talking point, again, I will reiterate, is that if we in the mainstream corporate television news world continue to leverage corporate power to shut down dissident voices in the name of harm, danger, crazy, conspiracy, whatever it is, that we are doing a grave disservice to our role as journalists and people who should fight for freedom of speech and the free press, frankly. Interestingly, somebody in the comment section said, it's a sad day when, after decades of fighting for the free press, it's the press that's fighting for censorship. That's deep, dude. And it's true. So, anyway, what does the email say? What does his reply say? Well, I will show you it in a minute. But I want to run you through my thoughts of what I figured it would say. Okay? The first is, I honestly did not think I was going to get a reply at all. That was probably like 95%. I was 95% he wasn't going to write back. So, kudos. Kudos to Brian Stelter for writing back at all. My second guess next to that was that he was going to be pissed that I called him out and he was going to write something mean. But the way I look at this kind of stuff is, listen, it's not personal, it's just business.
It's not personal, it's business. It's not personal, it's business.
Another idea I had when I saw Brian Stelter in my inbox is that CNN put a copyright strike on my material and I was going to owe them a ton of money or something, or I was going to get some kind of violation on my channel for using it, even though everybody uses this kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, like, I don't have the lawyers to argue fair use. So that was another option. Also, perhaps he was going to offer me a co-anchor position.
You stay classy, San Diego.
And thanks for stopping by.
But mainly, stay classy.
It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady, and that is a scientific fact.
But I would immediately turn that down because I don't want to live in LA or New York City or Washington, D.C. So anyway, even if you were going to offer me that, CNN, it's okay. No offense or anything. I just like it where I am. Or perhaps he wants to regain his honor with the little people and the critics of CNN, and he knows that I have plenty of them on my channel, and so he agrees to come on my channel and become a a proponent of the little guy. But that probably is not going to happen, so probably going to let that one go. Maybe he's secretly generous and he actually wants to help me. He's a former TV person and he knows what the life is like under the hot lights and wants to give me a little bit of a boost on my YouTube channel. And perhaps also, just like I believe he uses Fox, maybe would use me as a ratings boost. I don't know. Get a few extra people over to CNN. Folks who otherwise would normally be throwing Rotten Tomatoes at the TV screen. Also, it's possible he wants some help with his on-camera presentation. I saw this picture of him and he's doing a pose with his hands that I was told constantly by talent coaches to never do. Finally, maybe he would just tell me that I should have kept my video to 90 seconds or less, since that typically is the norm in TV. And he feels like I could have gotten my point across a lot faster.
And then this hellish facade once.
How long a drive was this?
Or he just writes no. So let's check it and see. I can't. I'm sorry. Thank you anyway. But hey, at least he wrote back, right? He didn't have to. So I'm going to give him credit where credit's due. Thank you, Brian, for at least taking 2 seconds to reply to my email. I'm bummed you're not going to come on my channel and debate this, but if you are now one of my new subscribers and you're watching this, could you please write me back who is going to be the gatekeeper? That's really at the heart of what I want to know. Maybe you'll change your mind at some point about coming on the channel. I will say it's likely that Stelter isn't allowed to do stuff like this because he's got a contract. When I was in TV news, I had a contract. I had to okay everything I did with my managers, and they were typically pretty tight-fisted. Curious, what did you think he was going to say? Or did you think he was going to write me back at all? Definitely leave me a comment in the comment section. Don't forget to like, share, make sure you're subscribed. As always, there are links in the description for how you can support my work. And again, a link to the original video, both my commentary video before this one that prompted this reply, as well as the original segment from Brian Stelter's show. So check it all out, and I'll see you next time.